I was making 20K a month. Now I could barely pay my bills. But you'll understand how I got to a position making money like that, how I felt during the time, and how I lost it all. So settle in and let's take a trip together. So I was 25 at the moment. I worked at a dog job. It was basically a daycare while they were at work or on vacation and all of that. But this place was a bit cranked up. They were running a lot of volume. So of course the whole company was making a lot of money. So with making a lot of money, that usually takes the person out of the equation because now they go enjoy the money and they let other people handle the business. So that business now had it where one person watching over dogs would be watching 20 to 30 dogs at the same time. One person watching 30 dogs that you hired just on the fly just because they said they would show up on time and they would accept $11 an hour. Me doing that job, I took great honor in it. I tried to be as good as I possibly could. That way I would learn as much as possible and be as good as I possibly could while going through that job. I knew it was temporary. I never fully felt like that resonated, so of course I was always looking for something else to do. Since I was probably 12, maybe even closer to 9, was a pretty heavy gamer, so I got into Call of Duty. Of course, started making montages, going for clips, trick shot, and all that kind of stuff. I grinded a YouTube account up to about 1,200 subscribers, so like 1,200 subscribers just off Call of Duty content. I got it monetized and we were off to the races. I made my first check, $135, $140, whatever it was, you know, and that had me feeling pretty good because I put a lot of work into it. But with that channel, I was lazy. I didn't post as much as I was supposed to. I really just didn't have a system in place that I could really rock with and be able to keep putting content up. So that was always my issue. I didn't really have a set up routine way to keep producing content in a way that, number one, wouldn't burn me out, and number two, that would actually be something people cared to see. So I struggled with that for a while, and the account went months and months without uploads. Like, it just was what it was. At the time, of course, I was a gamer, like I said. There was a YouTuber named Just Apex Tings, and he would post the streamers and all playing Apex Legends back when it was kind of lit. And just having that channel, posting all the different streamers, like, you literally stayed up to date with everything that was going on with that game. So his account was helping you stay up to date with a popular, and it was probably the most popular game that year. So just seeing that play out and realizing that he's literally just throwing the clips out, clipping them down. I'm not even personally sure if he was getting paid for it, but the business model was right there, and I completely understood the mission from that point. So I was trying to figure out, where do I go, what do I do, and how do I use this business model to literally not just farm money, because I did care about, you know, giving people a better message and like just getting people back on track, being able to get closer with yourself and being more present ultimately. So it was at this point in time that everything started to align, and I could really feel stuff coming together. I had the podcast, I started clipping it down, doing pretty much the same thing as Just Apex Things. I was archiving a lot of the discussions and the guests that they had on, and just putting it on YouTube, making the thumbnails, which I did stay up, which a general work shift for me doing that was like 5 p.m. to 3 to 4 a.m. in the morning. And sometimes it could take me all the way up to 7 a.m. So for me as a clipper, a 12-hour shift on a day of a stream really wasn't anything I didn't expect. And I probably clipped the podcast for like 5 to 6 months without getting paid for it, just really having a vision, thinking that if I stayed with it, kept going, that it would eventually explode. And looking back now too, I realized that the volume I was pushing was almost certainly the reason that it worked out for me, because the quality was also there. So when you have quality and you have volume, like, there's really not many people that can keep up with you. And the checks started rolling in. At first, the first check was like 1,600, second check 3,200, next check was like 5,400. And then I said, you know what? Might as well leave this daycare job behind and go do what I actually want to do, you know, and make way better money. Number one, watching over 30 dogs for 8 hours straight, you get a 30-minute lunch break. Your brain is fried after that. Like, you're done. You don't want to process any other information. You've been reading body language and energy all day. Your brain's exhausted. So for me, going home and clipping up the podcast, I actually enjoyed it. I was vibing and I was learning from it. So to me, it was two birds, one stone, because now, literally, like I said earlier, I was farming money, making the clips. I made sure that the people who were doing the podcast were okay with me doing it as well. I sent in the chats and all that, like making sure we were good. They let me know, clip up the podcast. You're doing a great job. We see what you've been doing. Just make sure you just make sure you link all our information in the description of the videos, and we good. Cause I'm giving them promotion, and I was doing a great job. Like I said, high quality from their end, high quality on my end, and then the volume was there because I was archiving everything that I felt had a positive message or could affect somebody in a positive way, whether it be information or a business idea, or maybe even just motivation or just resonating with somebody else, so you know you're not alone. And overall, that was the whole purpose of the Clips channel. So I doubled down on it, and I really went as hard as I possibly could on that. And I ran that business up for 2 years, of course, scaling up from 1,200 subscribers, 1,200 subscribers, getting the account to 67,000 subscribers. And the account, I ended up having to delete all the videos, which was very unfortunate because I wish I could still have the channel with all the information and all the stuff that I literally spent hours clipping and making thumbnails for. So that part sucks, but if I didn't delete all the videos, they would have deleted my channel, and they deleted 3 other channels that I had to make sure that I got the message. Which, this is the channel Law of Distraction. I knew you had to distract people to teach them. And then it just so happens the podcast was using one of the best distractions of all time, women. And they would have discussions with them and challenging each other's ideologies. And overall, I enjoyed that business a lot. So while scaling that up, it did go from, 3,000, 5,000, 8,000. Eventually, it got up to 9,000, 10,000. I've had 2 months where I made 13. And right about the time that I started making 10,000 consistently is when I realized I needed a good funnel and somewhere that I could send all the money to make sure that I protected my investment and really did as much as I possibly could to be financially free as fast as I possibly could. So I started an Amazon FBA account, which is where you buy inventory and stock and all that kind of stuff, and you can either package it yourself or you pay somebody to package it. I personally prefer to have somebody else package it, so from there I just decided to pay a shipping company to package it, number one, and then send it off to Amazon. So all I had to do was source the products. And sourcing the products was a bit of a headache because you really just had to find the sales, buy in bulk. And the quicker you could get to having personal relationships with these companies and being able to buy pallets of it and sending that to your shipping people, that was the play, that was the vision, that was what we were doing, scaling up and growing to. And I had that account running overall, I think, about 8 months. The first few months you're buying products, you're waiting for it to get sent over to your shipping people, then your shipping people, you're waiting for them to go ahead and package it up, put the labels on it, send it off to Amazon. Dealing with the first few companies I was dealing with, I was, still working out the kinks, learning some of the stuff that I needed to know to own a business like that. And once I realized, like, okay, the shipping company I'm using is not going to work out, it takes a very long time to get everything turned around. So I did more research. I realized the play was to have your shipping company very close to the Amazon. So I ended up getting a shipping company right there in Delaware, right next to the Amazon fulfillment center. That way, everything was as quick as possible and as easy as possible. From there, a couple months in, we were probably 5 months in, and I really saw the vision from this. Mind you, I'm still making the YouTube money, still doing well. But YouTube money fluctuates. Sometimes it's 9, sometimes it's 11, sometimes that shit goes all the way up to 13.5, 13.8. The money is crazy once you get accepted into the YouTube partner program. But at the time on YouTube, censorship was pretty strong. You really couldn't say much. And it has been worse before, but just at that time, saying certain things, they would really nuke your channel for nothing. And I'm making a lot of clips, so of course if the podcast that I'm clipping gets a bad rap, then of course they're not going to want me to make money from clipping the podcast of that podcast, you know. So guilty by association. But I did know that my clipping business was going to be targeted at some point, which is why I doubled down on the Amazon, making sure that if the YouTube account went down, that my Amazon would be like the YouTube account never went away, if that makes sense to you, because I didn't want to go under 10,000 a month. And like knowing that I was making that much, and I used to remind myself like this is not enough. And I know that might sound crazy, but when you really start making a lot of money, of course you're going to upgrade your life and you want more and you want to do more and eat better and everything. But things cost money. Just me adopting a new lifestyle, being able to take care of myself as good as I possibly could, having a gym under my house, and just like certain things needed to be done. And just seeing how much money went, it made me realize that running two businesses and, you know, having, not, I don't have kids or anything, but having a family in that regards, and just knowing how much money goes to bills, how much goes to business, how much, you know, should be for you, how much you put on the side to save. 10,000 really wasn't leaving that much, which was also why I wanted the Amazon business. That way I could literally pay the bills, pay the business, and still have money to pay me and everybody be eating and doing good. So that was the vision. The Amazon FBA account was growing nicely. I was buying a lot of inventory. I had an employee making thumbnails for the clipping business, and I had another employee sourcing products for me, making sure that we bought winning products. That way, once it finally made it to Amazon, we weren't losing money, because of course that would be very hard to scale up a business if you're always late and losing money because your products take forever to get to Amazon. And Amazon finds the buyer. So the whole thing was sourcing the correct products. And with hiring people, you're going to have to teach them exactly how you do things. You have to be able to replicate yourself, or your business is never going to succeed, because you want to be able to not be at the business and not have to worry if it explodes or not, you know. You need shit to be in line. And from there, I made sure that both of my employees understood what it was I wanted from them, what kind of work I wanted to do. I didn't want to be like I always had to babysit them, be over their back, and, you know, just really doing too much. I wanted them to have their freedoms to adjust things if they felt necessary. And overall, I made sure that my people were getting paid well. So things were going good. Both were scaling up. And then all of a sudden, about a week to a week and a half before my birthday, mind you, the business has been running and making money for 2 years. The Amazon account has been up for like 5 to 6 months. And I'm scaling both up, both running up money. The Amazon overall at that time was pulling back like 4,000 to 5,000. So number one, the YouTube account gets demonetized. At first I wasn't really too worried. I was just thinking clean up the account and reapply, and I'm in there. To that point I have been doing everything right, and I really wasn't too concerned about the YouTube account at that time. So I just kept it moving like normal, clipping the podcast, paying my people. And then the very next day I get a message that my Amazon FBA account has been closed and terminated. Now, to my knowledge, with that information, I thought it was some type of glitch or error or whatever it was. So I'm calling customer support, trying to figure out what exactly took place, what's the issue, what's the problem. So for a full month, 30 days, I have been calling customer support every single day, trying to figure out what the issue was, what I could do, what paperwork do I have to send. Different people are telling me send over different files, do this, get the invoice from them, verify this product, yada yada. So I'm on the hamster wheel, running all of that, doing everything that they telling me I need to do so I could get my account back as fast as possible, because remember, the YouTube account was also demonetized the day before this. But even still, I wasn't worried, tripping, or panicking at this point. I was really just thinking, okay, so I just comply with what they're asking and I get all my stuff back. So a lot of conversations with the tech team in India or the Philippines, wherever they were. And then eventually on literally day 30, I got on a call with an American. He basically ran a little game to me, let me know that they were never going to give me my account back. He said he didn't know why they kept telling me just send in new files and do certain things. And then he started dropping some philosophy on me and letting me know that sometimes people just go through situations like this. There's nothing that he can do, and that he apologized for people wasting my time and them not being as direct as they could have been from the beginning. And then the overall gist that I got from it was was him saying essentially, we got to make an example out of some people. But of course, it wasn't his decision. He's just a guy that's like breaking the information to me and literally breaking me free from chasing this shit endlessly. So I got off the phone with him, appreciating the fact that he could actually be direct and tell me what the issue was and that I was never getting my account back. But that was where the panic and the fear started to set in, because now I'm down 2 businesses. It's getting close to the end of the month, and when you get paid on YouTube, you get paid once a month. So you're waiting. It was usually the time frame of the 27th through the 29th of every month that you would get your checks. So a lot of the times you're waiting on just a big injection. It's not like you get paid every 2 weeks, so you know you get a little here, a little there, a little here, a little there. You get a big injection and you got to delegate. And from there, I mean, I really enjoyed that aspect of it. Like just breaking down everything, going with the budget, figuring out where you want it to push, where do you want to be a little more risky at. That whole part and portion of the businesses, I thoroughly enjoyed. I woke up every morning happy to do what I did. But it did end up coming out. We sold a product that was not supposed to be sold, and allegedly it was a counterfeit part, which goes against terms of service. Now, to my knowledge, to my information, people who go through that same situation get to either take a course or a class or like take a slap on the wrist, but for some reason they did not give me any sort of way to resolve the issue, and they kept my last check, they kept all the inventory. And literally once I got off that call, I thought there was not much that I could do. I kind of had to sit with the fact that I actively had products being sent to the shipment center. I actively had products being sent from the shipment center to Amazon. I actively had stuff at Amazon, and I actively had listings that were getting sold. All shut down, shot down, nuked down. But my money was still invested, so of course I have questions on how are we going to go about getting my money back though. So I continued to send emails and try to talk to customer support. So a couple months went by and I really started to get fired up with the fact that they kept all my inventory, all my money. There was like nothing I could do about it, allegedly. So I started reaching out with emails, phone calls, trying to figure out who do I talk to, what do I do, and really just trying to get my money back. Or at least get some of my investment, some of my inventory. Like, don't shut my shit down and just keep everything, because that's scummy. So this ends up getting drug out for a year. And I finally got lawyers, which was basically a guy on the internet who could sign off on these important files, quote unquote. And we sent that over to Amazon, and finally they started to release the inventory. I was curious if they would send the money, but of course these companies want to keep the money, but they'll send you your inventory. When they told me they would destroy it within 60 to 90 days if I didn't send them, it was like some absurd number to get each item shipped back to my house. So it would have been a full 5K to just get my inventory sent back to me. So to me, I was like, okay, these motherfuckers are literally willing to do anything to keep your money and make it as inconvenient as possible for you. So with the lawyer, I'm letting them know all about the situation, what I want to do, how I want to pursue it. And like I said, eventually we got to a point where Amazon started sending me boxes and boxes and boxes of my inventory, which I do have now. And I'm currently trying to figure out what do I even do with it. It's a bunch of motorcycle gear and soaps and all that kind of stuff. So the whole thing was we sold a counterfeit item. It was a car part, supposed to be an oil filter. It was sourced by the employee. He sent it to me, said this is a great purchase. So I bought a decent amount of them. And obviously the blame can't be on him. He sent me a lead. I'm the one who put the card information in on it and bought it. So I take all accountability. I even told him that, but of course he didn't feel good about it either, because now the money stopped. He stopped getting paid. I stopped getting paid. There's no way I could pay him, which I did still send him some money here and there as the months were going by, and I knew he was trying to find work. But it did get to a point where it seemed like he was trying to get over on me, so of course I had to cut that off. But I am wishing him the best. I mean, of course, we didn't want it to come to this, but this is what happened, so we just have to learn and grow from it. But now pivoting over to the YouTube account. At this point in time, I've been clipping the podcast for about 3 months and literally not getting paid for it. I'm just doing it because I need to keep the image out there. I didn't want people to worry or even question about that kind of stuff. I just wanted to see if I could repair the demonetization on the back end, get back into the program, and start making money again. So I kept going with the typical routine. 5 p.m. start clipping up the pod, literally finishing up about 5 a.m., 7 a.m. still paying the thumbnail guy to make the thumbnails, that way I could sleep. And keep in mind, YouTube kept the money as well. If they demonetize you, they do not send you your last paycheck. They keep that money and they don't care. They literally keep your money, they don't care. Because the same lawyer that I had for Amazon, I tried to use him to get the money back from YouTube. But YouTube just doesn't play that, and if you try to sue them or take them to court, they're just gonna run you for your money. That's just a big corporate game that they could play over you. And YouTube told me I was demonetized for hate speech and crime groups or some shit like that. Of course, YouTube gets to be gray area. They don't really have to tell you the reason. So for the most part, I just speculate on what the reason was as to why I got demonetized. But it's probably right. Guilty by association. It's not that I did any specific one thing right or wrong. And it's probably just because it was that type of content. Once they demonetized that podcast, of course I was the next victim, the next target. My account was blowing up massively. I was on track to hit 100K in 2 to 3 months. You know, I thought I was going to have a plaque that said Law of Distraction on it. I thought I was going to be able to keep the business alive. But like I said in the beginning, I did have to delete all the videos. And then also, I did not know that they would delete my other YouTube accounts, which 2 of them were monetized. And I was starting to push content on there and we were getting some motion. But maybe that's why they took them down. Because they knew that I had other accounts on that Google account. And them shutting down one of my accounts wouldn't have been that big of a deal because I still could have made money on the others. But of course, if you delete the other ones, you demonetize them, you demoralize them. I guess their goal was to try to keep me and deter me from coming back. But that's not going to happen because I really want to do this. I enjoy doing it. I like making content. I enjoy the art aspect of it, although it doesn't get as much views as it could and should. People just want real connection, real knowledge, real gnosis. And ultimately, we just kind of want to hang out with each other online. And with the internet being the internet, you can literally hang out with anybody all day long. Of course, finding them is sometimes difficult, but they're out there. And I'm in the rebuilding section. So I've made a couple other businesses. I have Instagram accounts that have a lot of followers. But none of that shapes into money because I don't have a specific product that I'm trying to sell to people. So if you're only trying to monetize attention, you're going to fight an uphill battle. And I really don't have a product to sell you at the moment. So we're kind of just making content. I'm expressing myself through this medium of gaming and classic Call of Duty. And for the people who have been rocking with me, I appreciate you. Of course, it's great that you're a part of the channel. And the overall goal is to just show you the classic Call of Duties through the lens of a trick shotter. And still enjoying the classic Call of Duties. I personally think classic Call of Duty is the best game out right now. But overall, that's really not going to deter me from making what I want to make, creating what I want to create. And like I said, we're in the rebuild. I've been building for 2 years right now. It does suck, obviously, because everything was completely different. Now I work for a company, I get paid an hourly wage. Of course, I have to listen to people tell me what to do, which isn't the best feeling in the world. Everybody can resonate and relate to that. The biggest thing is I really just don't care to leave the house for real. I mentioned earlier I do have a gym under my house. I have a nice gaming setup and I live close to nice scenery, so I really don't have to go far, go anywhere for that matter. I will admit I was watching movies throughout that whole time, going to the movie theater. That was the one way I felt I could kind of get away from chasing money and chasing business success. So that was keeping me sane, keeping me level. But here we are, 2 years later. I have a few YouTube accounts going. Right now my favorite one is the 1440 guy, which I've been trying to put out more content. I am figuring out the full direction I want to go with it, but of course that just takes making videos, getting it out there, figuring out what makes sense for me, but also what do the people even want to see. So that's been the thing I'm trying to figure out for the most part. If you do have any insight on that, of course that would be appreciated. And get in the comments if you want to discuss anything or if you have anything to say. I certainly appreciate it if you did make it to the end of this video, because I know this is a longer video and might even be the longest video on my account so far. So like, comment, and subscribe if you resonate with anything I said today. Because if it's one thing this whole journey taught me, it's just like how I was up, you could be down very easily. So enjoy your days. Appreciate the fact that you get to be here another day. Really try not to waste your time. I know sometimes you're going to get caught up scrolling and doing stuff that you're not supposed to do. But ultimately, the goal is evolution, 1% better every day as a minimum. We're going to grow, pursue our dreams, and we'll be successful on the other side. So resilience is key, and I appreciate all of you rocking with me. I will catch y'all in the next video. Peace.